Well, hi guys. Here we go with October 2024 overview. Thank you so much for your patience and for struggling for actually 13 minutes with buffering and goodness knows what. I'm now pre-recording this. I'm just recording it on video and then I will just upload it. It's the easiest thing to do. So I'm just gonna go through an overview of October's energy and tell you right from the start that this is a tricky month. We're not going to have an easy ride, and I know I've already been speaking to some of you and on live chat, and still in Israel. My heart, my darling, goes out to you. Please, please stay safe. And if all of you, soul fam, can send peace and love and protection to Sil, and also to her family, friends, and to every living soul affected by what's going on in the Middle East. Now, what I'm going to do is go through several of the major aspects of October, starting with the solar eclipse in Libra, which is tomorrow. Now, this solar eclipse is called an annular solar eclipse, and I do have a video up on my channel already. So it may, rather than me going over old ground in this video, if you check out my solar eclipse video for the new moon in Libra on my channel, that gives you a fuller kind of introduction to it. And what's interesting is, and I'm just rearranging things a bit, is that it's, as I said, it's known as a ring of fire because the moon is further away from the earth. And so what happens is the moon doesn't cover the whole of the circumference of the sun. So we actually get a ring of fire. And what I was saying in the bit of live that I did is that it feels like regeneration, rejuvenation, as if we are being given an opportunity to renew, to bring in the new. Now it's Libra, it's about balance, it's about relationship, it's about harmony. This new moon solar eclipse is only visible in parts of the Pacific, parts of South America, and interestingly in Easter Island. Now, I'm not an expert on the asteroids or the dwarf planets, but there is a planet or a dwarf planet called Makemake that is the actual creator god of the inhabitants of Easter Island. And if you want to find out more about the dwarf planets, my teacher and mentor, Alison Chester Lambert, has a book out called Starry Messengers, which talks all about the dwarf planets. And she talks a lot about Makemake, and she has even been to Easter Island. So she is the expert on Makemake and Easter Island and how the population survived through the ravage of disease brought to them by ships bringing in hordes of people from other countries. So it virtually decimated the whole countryside. I think the symbolism is incredibly interesting. And I think it's interesting because what I'm sensing is that because of what's happening in the Middle East, my sense is that there is something about, there has to be, I can see what's happening. There is very much a sense of eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth. We need to move this energy forward into the 21st century because that was what we, or the way we lived in the Middle Ages or 2,000, 3,000 years ago. This is 2024. This is not about scoring points, tit for tat. Yes, I know there have been some terrible, terrible things that have happened that have caused the situation in the Middle East. But I really do feel that because this new moon is in Libra, it's really absolutely imploring the whole planet, every leader, every state, every country, to find a solution that is agreeable to all involved, that does not involve this complete decimation and devastation. Take the symbolism of Easter Island and the god Maki Maki that is conjunct this new moon in Libra, conjunct Lilith, dark moon Lilith, the shadow side of the divine feminine, conjunct Mercury, our planet of communication, talk. This is about talk. Now, if you want to know how this affects you on a personal level, let's bring it down a few notches. Let's dilute this and say, if you're having problems in your personal relationships or family relationships, business relationships, friendships, talk, communicate. We need compassion and empathy, love. This new moon is squared by Mars in Cancer. And at the same time, we have a grand water trine, which I'll explain, between Mars, the masculine, the divine masculine in Cancer, Venus, the divine feminine in Scorpio, and Saturn kind of drawing in their energy into its retrograde position in Pisces. Saturn about timing, rules, boundaries, containment, structure, and taking the time to communicate. It's a grand water trine. It's like, please use everybody, the people involved need to raise their frequencies. It's like they've got so caught into the problem. You know what they say? If you're stuck in the problem, you can't find the solution. So to every leader out there, every diplomat who has some say in how things unfold, look for the solution and don't get stuck in the problem. Now I'm going to move on because we've got a lot to get through this month, because on October the 9th, Jupiter, our planet of expansion, of luck and of opportunity, goes retrograde at 21 degrees in the sign of Gemini. Now, Gemini, of course, is mutable and an air sign. Jupiter is a fire planet because it rules Sagittarius, but it is mutable. It has flexibility. As Jupiter retraces its steps through Gemini, it is giving wonderful, bountiful opportunities for people to talk. And it doesn't go direct till it reaches 11 degrees of Gemini on February the 4th, 2025. A few days later, we have another massive planetary event. October the 12th, Pluto, our planet of death, endings, transformation, transition, knowing thyself, in Capricorn, where it's been retrograde at 29 degrees, that very powerful trigger point. it goes direct. We will notice by the 12th of October a little bit of a shift, and hopefully we will see it reflected in the events of what is happening on the world stage. Because Pluto isn't going to take any prisoners. Pluto is going to say it how it is. And Pluto is going to bring down those that stand in the way of evolution, of progression, of higher consciousness, of empathy, compassion, transformative love. It will enter Aquarius on November the 19th, 20th. And it's going to be in Aquarius for 20 years, roughly. It's been in Capricorn since 2008. It's been a long, hard slog since 2008 to navigate our way through our lives with this energy in Capricorn. Let's move on to October the 13th, when Mercury, our planet of communication, enters Scorpio. And Mercury will square Pluto in Capricorn. Pluto now direct. And then the Sun, which represents the masculine, health, our heart, the beating soul of our solar system, our DNA. The Sun in Libra, balance, harmony, relationship, squares Mars, our god of action, war and energy, in Cancer. That's a bit tough, and that is going to be tough. Mercury squaring Pluto is going to, I believe, reveal news, because Pluto, remember, rules Scorpio. Scorpio is about the underworld and what goes on underneath. That is hidden becomes revealed. So I do believe that news will come to light, secrets will come out, that will be transforming, but not without a price to pay. The moon that day in Aquarius is squaring Uranus, still retrograde in Taurus. So the people, because the moon can represent the people, also it's in Aquarius, and Aquarius can represent the community at large. Uranus is saying, we've had enough. This may not only be in the problem areas of the planet. I think there's going to be a lot of civil unrest for one reason and another that becomes clear and evident through maybe some of these revelations that come from that Mercury square Pluto. And remember, the date for this is the 13th of October. And Mars is still squaring the Sun. That's tough. That's tough. This is just difficult stuff. This is a time to really take a step back, whether it's in your own situations, relationships, family relationships, business relationships, career, one-to-one close personal relationships, friendships. Take a step back and breathe. Try not to react. As I started saying that, the bells started ringing in my village. So we're probably going to have them donging away for the next quarter of an hour. Oh no, I think it stopped. But that was almost as if it was underlining what I was saying. And then if we actually move on from the 13th, we then get to, well, the next major event is the full moon in Aries on the 17th of October. Ooh, as you see me take a deep breath. This is another quite tricky, challenging full moon. We have this full moon in Aries. Venus also that day moves into Sagittarius. At the same time as it leaves Scorpio, it will be making a sextile to Pluto, now direct in Capricorn. That's quite a helpful aspect. So Venus is supporting what has been revealed through Mercury's aspect to Pluto to bring out some information that is helpful so that we can begin to see how things could pan out. But there is, as I said, a price to pay. Now, we have to look at a couple of things, and I will be doing a separate, longer video about this full moon in Aries. Aries is the first sign of the zodiac. So it is about new beginnings, but with closures, strong closures. And within this full moon, we have what is known as a cardinal grand cross. Cardinal energy is active and it initiates, it takes action. And we have this energy between the sun in Libra, opposite, obviously, the moon in Aries at 24 degrees, and the moon is actually conjunct Chiron at 21 degrees. And Chiron conjunct this full moon is showing us that there is this deep wound in man. How do we get that wound to heal? They keep asking the wrong question of themselves. Now, I'll explain more about that another time. Maybe when I do the full moon video, I'll explain, because what it's bringing up for me is the story of Parsifal and his hunt for the Holy Grail, which resides in the castle, the dilapidated, run-down castle of the Fisher King, who has a wound that will never heal. Chiron has a wound that will never heal. It's amazing how these myths repeat. You know, Chiron, that is an ancient Greek myth, and the myth of Parsifal and the Fisher King is more kind of, I think it was more kind of 13th, 14th century. But it's about the divine masculine and the divine feminine. I'll talk about it in the full moon. So we have this cardinal cross, this grand cardinal cross. On the other 2 points, we have Pluto at 29 degrees direct in Capricorn, in opposition to Mars in Cancer. So let's just think about this a minute. Which way do we go? Where do we go from here? We've got our solution, our resolution. Now what? How do we actually now move forward with this? Would seem to be the way this is starting to play out. because progress has clearly been made. What sort of progress, and whether it's progress in a direction that is healthy for everybody on the planet, that we can't know. And as I say that, I look for Neptune. And Neptune, of course, is still part of this minor grand trine with Uranus and now Mars, interestingly. So that is quite interesting, because it also actually links in Pluto to Neptune to Uranus to Mars, and Mars back to Neptune. So you've got this sort of supportive energy of these cosmic bodies, the fire and the emotion of Mars in Cancer, Pluto, the transformative powers of saying there has to be the change in the structures of the way we manage our planet and the governments on it and the countries in it. Neptune saying, but I don't know, I can't see the way through this. Maybe we have to feel in our gut. Maybe we have to raise our energy to a higher vibration. Maybe we all have to trust our intuition and start acting from our gut and our heart, and not from this. Has and is everybody getting in their own way? And that full moon conjunct Chiron, Uranus, freedom of speech. Oh, I could talk all night about this full moon, but I'm not going to, because I'm going to save it for the full moon video. Oh gosh, here we have another major tough aspect. October the 22nd, the sun leaves Libra and enters Scorpio, and at that point squares Pluto. So you've got the sun squaring Pluto, and actually still squaring Mars. There's just, it's like, I don't even know where to begin with this energy, except that we just have to try and respond to everything and be mindful, take care, and know that it will resolve, because everything always does, and that the solution will only be found for any of us, whether it's on a personal level or a world level. If we don't get stuck in that problem, we have to get out of that problem. On the 28th, Venus in Sagittarius squares Saturn retrograde in Pisces. So when it does this, this is Saturn trying to bring some common sense into the equation, because this is the feminine getting a little bit too carried away with, I'm thinking of, just the rebelliousness of the collective, which is quite understandable. But you have to, it has to be organized in some way. You remember when I had the word for the astrobite, emancipation, which is basically about freedom. There is always a price to pay for freedom. Saturn is saying, go slow. With all of these things this month of October, go slow. I wish I could make it all sound a little bit happier. And I can only say it how it is. So that's what I'm doing. And if we move on to the 30th of October, just to finish on a really, really challenging note, Mercury in Scorpio. Scorpio, our sign of dark secrets, of transformation, of endings, beginnings, of going down into the underworld. Mercury opposes Uranus retrograde in Taurus. Well, what news comes out towards the end of the month? Scandalous news. Hugely scandalous news gets exposed, I suggest. That is hugely surprising. The other thing we can't forget, because I'm just kind of quickly leaping back to the beginning with this this new moon in Libra solar eclipse tomorrow, is remember when we get these eclipse energies, it does have an effect on the tides and the oceans and the tectonic plates. And so because this eclipse is happening mostly over water, over the Pacific, there could be some earth movement that takes place under the ocean that maybe causes storms, bad weather, anything of that kind of description, or just general, very rough seas. And I know that the Americas have been going through the most terrible time with weather and hurricanes and the most awful loss of life. And again, my heart goes out to anyone that has been affected by all of these things. And my heart goes out to everyone because, what a month this is going to be. You know what? Stay in the moment. Stay present. Get into your higher mind, your higher self, that higher frequency, and intend that the way things unfold, not just for you, but for the planet, are for the highest good of everyone, obviously including yourself. So I'm sorry that we had a rather discombobulated start to the live stream. I'm now going to swiftly upload this. And, well, I'll see you tomorrow for another Astro Bite. And in the meantime, take care. And please remember to like, comment, and subscribe. And you're all amazing. You're all awesome. Please, all of you, and all your friends and family and everyone, take good care. Lots of love. Bye for now.